Good morning and welcome in on this extremely warm sunny June morning. I think I've just turned my phone back on. I thought I'd turned it off. Let's turn it back on. There we go. Okay, so welcome in. As I say, very warm morning. Might have to pop the fan on in a minute. I have got the door open. But it is very sunny, and apologies if we get lots of bangs and crashes and things. They've just arrived next door with a mini digger. They're obviously going to have some work done on their drive. So, excuse me, wiggling you. I'm going to open the window. We could well have some bangs and crashes going on from next door as well. But hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, so what shall we play with today? I've got in front of me a couple of background stamps. Let's just have a check, see who's here. Morning Lisa, morning Jane, morning Emma, morning Caroline. I love background stamps, and there's some new ones in the catalogue that I have not yet got my hands on. Let's have a little look. Let's find the background stamps. So these are about the only ones in the catalogue that don't show as full size. Most of the stamps in the catalogue obviously are, the size that you will get them. What you see is what you get, which is always a really good thing, that you're able to look in the catalogue and go, yeah, that's exactly the size that image is going to be when I get it. And it always tells you if it's anything different. Obviously, the background stamps come as huge stamps that fill your case. So if they were to have those at full size on the page, if they moved around, they might get 2 on a page, but that would be all. So obviously that isn't sensible. So they do the sort of little pin picture of, this is what size your stamp is in real life. This is the whole picture. And we now currently have 6 background stamps. So 3 of them are new and 3 of them are carried over. I have the 3 carried over. So I have the buffalo check, I have the birch, and I have the all wired up. So those are the 3 that I've got. The 3 I haven't got yet are the stacked stone. I'm really looking forward to getting this one. I love the look of that. Look at that. So like a dry stone wall. It's fab, isn't it? So that's the stacked stone. This is the camouflage. And then there's this dry brush. And if we look here, this one is the dry brush one. Obviously been inked up in different colours. And you get that sort of effect of dry brushing on your cardstock. Beautiful. And then this one here is the camouflage, being made a pink little camouflage backpack there. Yeah, as I say, the other new one is the stacked stone one. But yes, looking forward to getting my hands on those and having a play with those as well. But I haven't yet. So for now, I've dug out a couple that I have got. One is the birch and one is the all wired up. Now these are the sort of things that, they don't look particularly exciting and wow, it's not one of those, oh, wow, look at that stamp set, that's fabulous. But they are really good to have for creating those backgrounds. And you don't have to use the entire stamp. You can use bits of the stamp. You can do all sorts of things with them. So I thought we'd have a bit of a play with a couple of different backgrounds this morning and have a look and do a couple of different things with them. So I thought we'd start with the all wired up. So this obviously looks a bit like chicken wire. I mean, you could stamp that if you wanted a nice relaxing activity. Stamp that in black and then get your pens out. You could colour all those in, couldn't you? And just make up a really pretty pattern in the background, or just colour in some here and there. That would be quite quite cool, wouldn't it? Or you could stamp it and you could cut a section off and just have a sort of zigzaggy pattern going across. So there's lots that you can do with them. So saying you don't have to have the entire stamp, you can just use it and sort of pick up little odd bits. For example, what am I wittering about? I'm just going to lay that down there. Now, quite often with the big stamps, we have got the huge big block that fits these big stamps, but I've got relatively small hands, and they're a bit unwieldy to pick up and use, I've always found. So if you want a complete solid image, by far the best way is your Stamparatus. But what you can do is put it on the block and lay it down like that. Let's just take a bit of that, and let me take just this is not creating our card, this is just having a bit of a play. Let's take just a bit of plum cake card here, and I'll grab a bit of soft suede ink. Now this is particularly good if you're doing something like a canvas or you know, a bit of mixed media type stuff. I'm just going to ink up that stamp, but I'm not going to stamp it all. I'm just going to pick up little bits. So you don't have to have a whole stamp. You can just have little bits on the edge, just to add in, as I say, if you were doing a canvas and you just wanted little bits and then you were going to add other bits on the top. Sometimes it's just enough just to put in little little bits in the corner. And so this sort of stamp, this chicken wire, is quite good for those sorts of things. But let me get my just give that a bit of a wipe. As I say, quite often these days with these big stamps, my go-to would be always my Stamparatus, to get a nice solid image in the background, but that's not always been the case. I think I'm going to take a piece of, let's go with Pool Party. Just rifling through to see if I've got a bigger piece there. I don't think I have, so let's get a bit of Pool Party cardstock. Used Pool Party in a little while. And let's cut this down to 14.4 by 10. Now, as I say, normally these days I would pop that in my Stamparatus, because then I know that I can get really good all over, even pressure on it. But you might not have a Stamparatus, so if you haven't, you do know you need one. But if you haven't yet got a Stamparatus, what I used to do prior to having my Stamparatus was I would just normally actually stick that stamp onto a solid surface, so whether it's your table or whether, as you say, you've got the big block, and then I would take my cardstock and I would lay it on the top like this. So rather than attempting to turn that block over and push down on that way, I would lay it on like that. Let's get a bit of scrap paper, and then I would give that a good rub. Now, I may have picked up extra ink on that, we shall see. But you should be able to see, can you just about see that background just there? So it's more like, it was always a bit more like taking an impression off of the stamp rather than stamping the stamp onto the cardstock. Right, I'm going to take, this is where I'm just having a moment of Ooh, I will be with you 1 minute when I have eased my thoughts on this. Yeah, right, I'm going to go with gold embossing powder. And I'm going to sprinkle that over here and over here, a little bit everywhere. Now it may be that we get some extra bits on there, but I'm not going to worry too much. I don't think there's not so much that's going to give me too much cause for concern. Let's just pick up a little bit extra on that corner and lay that down. So there is just some little speckles, but actually that quite adds to the overall effect, I think. So let's take our heat gun, heat that up. Fancy doing heat embossing today. Must be mad. And let's heat that all over. Glenda, if I haven't said good morning, I forget who I've said hello to. I sort of half see comments come up, but you know, never entirely sure whether they've made it out of my head. I've had a busy morning this morning. I've already attempted and pretty well achieved a straight to live Facebook from Zoom this morning on my team page. So that was a first. Anybody that's going in, any of my team that are going in to watch that, excuse the first however many minutes where I'm trying to work out, appear to be staring blankly at the screen, trying to work out if we have actually gone live or not. I get there in the end. It's all a learning curve. So there we are. We have a gold embossed pool party sheet of wire. So that's rather fun. So I think what we'll do now is we'll bring in, we want something to be climbing up our wire. So I'm going to bring in the Forever Blossoms. And I think we'll have a flower climbing up our wire. So let's find some white card. In fact, we might make it shimmery white. Excuse me while I rifle round. Yes, I know, somewhere. I have some bits of shimmery white. It's just finding them. Are you shimmery white? Sometimes in this light particularly, it's hard to tell. No, you're very vanilla, because the sun is shining in quite brightly through this window. Yeah, that's a bit of shimmery white. That's better. Thank you. Do you know, I'm not so sniffly this morning. That's odd, isn't it? It's really hot this morning, and they've said that the pollen count is going to be through the roof today. So thank you, Jane. But at the moment, yeah, not feeling too bad. It just hits you sometimes, and it just depends as well what pollen is wafting around as to whether it's one that affects you or not. I tend to be quite sensitive to grass pollen. So obviously nobody's cut their lawn this morning. It's not ever so. I'll just swap that over. Perhaps my stays on is getting a bit dry. Let's see if once more with feeling will make that a bit better. That's a bit better. Such a pretty stamp, isn't it? To do 2, I don't think I'm going to need 2, but I might need 1.5, or perhaps I might need 1 and bits cut in 2, or whatever. We will see. What colours to colour in our little flowers? So I think we'll go with some old olive leaves. I do love old olive. And I think perhaps flirty flamingo. We could perhaps do with a little spot of some sort of, yes, perhaps a mango melody. Okay, let's find a brush. I've had notification that my order has dispatched, which hopefully will mean that my new water brushes will be here soon, so we can put those through their paces. Just dribbling water everywhere as I fill my brush up from my water bottle. It's a good job you can't see half that goes on, isn't it, really? Why are you not wanting to run through? Let's try a different. Excuse me while I just fiddle with my water brushes. That head on that water brush is obviously blocked, so let's try this one. Okay. So old olive. Let's paint in some old olive leaves. We've got a die to cut this, so, and I'm not worrying too much that it's going over the lines. One, because I am aware that I'm rushing it a bit more than I would if I'd got nothing to do but paint the morning away. But also I'm going to be die cutting it. It's watercolour, which is always a bit forgiving. Okay, so there's a bit of leaves going on. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of Mango Melody to go in the centre of these flowers. Now for anybody who's a demonstrator, we are actually going to get to see the PDF of the autumn-winter catalogue in just over 18 hours, or about 18 hours. Exciting, Christmas is coming. And if you would like to be able to see the catalogue in just over 18 hours, then we still have that fabulous promotion on with your starter kit, where if you get your starter kit now, you pay your £99, you get £130 worth of product, plus you get to choose a bundle, a current bundle of your choice, which can't be bad. So you'd get to have all those lovely goodies, all those extra goodies free, and you'd get to see the new Christmas catalogue tomorrow. The next door's builders appears to be meowing. So just putting the darker colour in the middle, and then coming back and dragging it out a bit. Little buds. And let's give these flowers some colour too. It's a beautiful stamp, this one. So the flower stamp is where's my box gone? Here we go. Forever Blossoms. It's lovely, isn't it? So it was part of the Parisian suite in the spring summer catalogue. The Eiffel Tower didn't travel across, but this blossom did. And it is really beautiful. Obviously you could colour it with your blends, with your pencils. It's up for all of that. A lovely stamp set for colouring in. Right, and as I say, there is dies to go with that. So we want the cherry blossom dies. Nearly didn't say that. And so we've got the die that cuts out the flowers, but you've also got this bough and the little individual flowers, lots of little leaves, buds. So a good all-round bundle. Grab my big shot. And let's die cut this blossom. a funny angle with my big shot. One. And here it comes, number 2. Oh yeah, watercolouring's wonderful, Michelle. Lovely to see you. And you don't have to be precise. It is about just playing around with it, really. So we've got 2 little boughs of blossom there, and we've got our chicken wire. And this is where I'm wondering whether we have 2. That'd be quite pretty, wouldn't it? Looks like that. We need a greeting. Now there's some quite nice ones in here. Shall we go? You mean so much to me. That's quite nice, isn't it? Have that coming in down the bottom there. We need to think about our card base and what colour we want that, and if we want I'm not sure about white, or do we want to go, we've used Flirty Flit Pink in the that would be pretty, wouldn't it? Let's go with a Flirty Flamingo card base and really pick up that Flirty Flamingo watercolouring that we've done. So we'll cut that at 14.9, swizzle to 10.5. Then actually there's that little bit of white card just there that probably will do the trick. Let me just pop that there for a moment. Let's find a block. Let's go back to our stays on, because that's what we used for our flowers, even though I do think it possibly wants re-inking. Oh no, that's not bad, is it? Perhaps it doesn't. Let's just trim that down a little bit. And I'm going to take my snips and snip across there. Okay, let's stick this one together. So let's come in with this one first. About there. It's a beautiful set, Michelle, isn't it? It is just lovely. I think this one I'm going to put up on some dimensionals so it comes up above. And that background stamp, which is where we started, of course. Oh, let's hide the one that didn't stamp very well. It's on the back. Never again to be seen. Now I think we want just a slither. And let's lift that up like that. Okay. Then we've got our little greeting that we're going to bring in down the bottom here. Does that want to be backed? Is it looking a bit starkly white just sitting there? Let's have a dig about and get a little bit of flirty flamingo. Cardstock, and we will stick that on there with a bit of a border. And then actually I'm going to take my big scissors. This is where the big scissors always come in, just because I'm hopeless with trimmers to get close in like that. So we'll have that on there like that, and I think we'll have that stuck down. Blippity bloppity blue. Let's stick this to our card base. Obviously I will need to go in and put an insert in that card, and I shall probably just have a little bit of stamp some of that blossom, or perhaps even some of the individuals, because the other thing that you've got in that stamp set is the little individual flowers and leaves and little blossom buds, so I might do some of those just on the inside. Oh, that's wonky. Can we wiggle that a little bit? Yes, just enough. And then we just want, what shall we have? Perhaps just a few little rhinestones scattered here and there. So there we go. That's that all wired up background stamp, and that just brought that bit of card to life. So as for that background, so that's obviously what background stamps for. It's there to give you some background, and that one certainly did. So that's that one. So let's have a look at our other background stamp and see what we can do with that one. Right, so this time round I'm going to take a piece of crumb cake card. Let's have a look. I'm going to cut it to 10 by 14.4. I probably will trim that at some point. But then I'm going to take that other background stamp, which is the birch stamp. Here we are. And again, as I said, normally I would get my Stamparatus out. But for those of you that don't have a Stamparatus, the alternative is to put it onto your block and take an impression from it. If only I could see where my big block's gone. There it is. Let me peel my all wired up stamp off there and put my birch stamp on there. So we've now got our birch stamp on our big block. And I'm going to take some Whisper White craft ink. Now it may be that I need to re-ink this. Let's see how it comes up. No, that's pretty, not bad. Let's give this a good ink. Ooh, got some splodges just there. Okay, so we've got a nicely inked up birch stamp and some crumb cake card. Let's lie that over the top. What did I do with that little bit of scrap paper? I don't know, but let's grab this bit of scrap paper and we're just going to rub. As I say, quite often I would just put this, if I'm working on a solid table, just stick your stamp to your table. But the other wonderful alternative is also your Stamparatus. Right, so now we've stamped that birch onto that piece of crumb cake card. So we've got this sort of whitewash effect with it. So I thought what I would do with that then, obviously Whisper White ink takes a little bit longer to dry. I'm going to trim it down a little bit, I think, to 13 point. No, I'm going to leave it full length, but I'm going to trim it widthwise. So this at the moment is 10 centimeters wide. I'm going to cut it into 2-inch strips, I think. And it won't matter, in fact we could turn those round a bit so that they're not running in a pattern, deliberately not running in a pattern. And let's find, let's go. I might actually go with a balmy blue card base, but I'm going to take a piece of Whisper White card. As always, we're thinking on the go. Let's gather up my strips. I'm going to cut this. So this is 10 centimeters by 14.4. Now it may be that I just want 4 of these. fun. I think we'll go with that. Have that one that way. That one coming in that way. Have you grabbed? I just want you to come across a little bit. And then we'll put this final bit in just here. So we've taken our fun background and created an even more random background. And I think that entire, oh, is that card short? Yes, it is. So we won't use that one, because the entire card is short. And what I might grab in that case is a piece of Misty Moonlight. Ooh, new pack to be opened. Let's go for a nice new colour with some Misty Moonlight. And we'll cut that into a card base. 14.9, scored at 10.5. That's a bit better. Okay, I'm now going to bring in the lighthouse. Oh, what have I just pinged? Just pinged seagulls onto the floor. And I might also have a compass and an anchor. And we'll decide on a greeting in a minute. So I think we'll go with the Misty Moonlight ink pad for the lighthouse and the compass. And perhaps we'll bring in some cinnamon cider for the anchor. Let's move that to one side for a minute. Bring these in. And let's, so this one is obviously much more of a mail card. Oh. Just deciding whether I keep that as it is or whether I stamp that again. It's not come out as a bad stamp, but I think I'm perhaps going to keep that as it is. While I'm here, let's grab out the anchor and I'll find a punch for my compass. So let's stamp our compass as well in Misty Moonlight. Let's stamp our anchor in some cinnamon cider. No, let's throw it on the floor once more with feeling. Oh, haven't you? Oh, Michelle, we're really digging out the things you haven't got today, aren't we? Oh dear, I'm sorry if I've just, you know, just when you thought you knew what you wanted on your wish list, this woman comes along and blows it out the water with other things. I'm going to perhaps do a ship's wheel that I'm going to cut out of cinnamon cider as well. So I'm going to cut that bit off for now, and we will line up our lighthouse. Line up our anchor. Pop our cinnamon cider ship's wheel on there while it's going through. And actually, let's have a quick look while we're busy die cutting. Perfect. We'll have a layering circle for our compass. This is a lovely set for men's cards. And another one good for playing with watercolouring. Michelle, if you're looking to do some watercolouring, this is another set that is good. For playing with your water brushes. Just going to stick my dies to my magnetic sheet so that they don't go wandering. Until I get round to putting them back. Let's pop out our ship's wheel. One of my favourite dies in this set is the little is the rope die. We may come round to using that. So this one just here that just cuts out this sort of bit of embossed rope, and you've got the little bow that will go on it as well, which is just lovely. And obviously you've got some seaweed in there. Right, let's see what we've got. So we've got our sort of panelled strips of board just there. That card is folded very wonkily, Helen. Let's try and make a better job of that. In fact, I don't know whether it's folded wonkily or cut wonkily. It looks suspiciously like it is cut wonkily. Okay, Misty Moonlight. So we'll have our lighthouse coming down here. we'll have our compass and our anchor and our ship's wheel up in that top corner. And then we need some sort of greeting on there. So in the actual stump set, we've got things like "Let hope be your anchor through the storms of life," "Set sail in the direction of your dreams," "Thanks, you are my true north." Or we could or we could think of something different. Now, something that I have has sort of jumped into my mind is whether... Oh, sorry people, knocking you about. Cut that out of a piece of misty moonlight and see what we think. So this is out of the words fail me, Sweet Silhouettes die set. And you've got those 3 words in there. You've got adventure, inspire and forever. So let's have... I think I need to run that through one more time. Once more with feeling. There we go. And let's get our pokey tool. And of course, what would have been really sensible would be to have cut that out. Oh yeah, that's quite fun. Would be to have cut that out with double-sided sticky on the back, but we didn't, so we won't worry about it now. We'll just put some little blobs of glue on the back instead. Adventure. Let's give that a push down. Then I'm going to take my just lift that up a little bit. Can I lift you up as well? Yes, I can. Let's sneak you under there. Like that. Fab. I think I'm going to take some linen thread, good old linen thread, Let's tie a bow with it. We'll have that coming in behind there somewhere. Ooh, sticky fingers. Glue dots, where are you? Oh, there you are. Have that coming in under there. We'll have our compass. We'll put a couple of glue dots on there. That's east, that's west. We'll have that little ship's wheel sneaking in behind there. And we'll put some dimensionals up on our anchor. And the anchor has got that little bit in the middle that we can pop out. I'm not sure if the children are squealing with delight or whether somebody's having a tantrum. Could be a bit of both. Could be one squealing with delight and the other one having a tantrum. Right, let's have a bit of a kink in it, that's better. Okay. Yeah, that's quite fun. Let's grab a couple of, oh, I think perhaps the cinnamon ciders, just because. Oh, we'll find a little glue dot for that in a minute. If you do get one where the top and the bottom fall out, it does occasionally happen. You just need to encourage them to be friends again. There we go. Play nicely. Okay, so we started off with two simple stamp sets, both of which have completely disappeared, and both of which one of these days I shall amaze and astound you all by being completely and utterly organised with everything to hand. And we'll probably need to send somebody because I've probably been abducted by aliens. So we started off with our two very simple background stamps, the all wired up and the birch. And with the all wired up, we heat embossed in gold on that background and then put our watercoloured blossom on the top. And with the birch, we stamped onto it with some of the Whispercraft ink onto a piece of crumb cake. We cut it into strips and created that background that we've then added in our lighthouse and compass and the word adventure. So there we go. Background stamps. They can just add that little bit of a something in the background. That flower is gorgeous, isn't it? It is beautiful, Jane, I agree. It is a stunning, stunning stamp. I think because it's a big stamp as well, you can do lots with it. You can do sort of canvases and all of those sorts of things, as well as beautiful cards. And actually just that one stamp, you don't need much more else with it, really. So yeah, beautiful stamps. As always, thank you to A Beautiful Stamp Company. And it's been fun playing with them. So thank you for joining me. Sorry if I've added things to wish lists. But I will be back again tomorrow to play with something else.